Welcome to the People and Performance Podcast, offering tips and expert insights into the strategic capabilities, behaviors, and results needed to grow and sustain employee performance.
Welcome to another episode of the People and Performance Podcast. Hello, this is Bill Bannum, and I am here with the man of the hour, the great man, Mr. Christopher Bueling. Chris, how are you today?
Bill, I always feel so much better after hearing your introduction of me. I am extremely well, and I thank you for being here today with me as well. I'm excited to talk about our upcoming topic here. This will be great.
Yes, and the topic of conversation today, listeners, is the SHRM Conference and Expo, which is happening in beautiful, and Chris, please forgive my British pronunciation, New Orleans, or NOLA, on June 12th through to June 15th, 2022. So as we record this, it's just a few weeks away. And fun fact, listeners, although Chris and I'd like to think Chris and I are becoming pretty good friends, and we chat all the time. We've never met in person before, Chris. This is the first time that you and I are going to get together in person and have a bit of a fun time.
This is going to be a great time. I'm looking to go down to NOLA with you and meet you down there and have some fun on Bourbon Street, as well as partake of the time that we're going to have at the SHRM Conference. What a great SHRM Conference that's coming up, and we're excited to kick it off and do this preview for you today.
Absolutely. So what we're going to do today, listeners, is Chris has got a bunch of questions for me around what you guys can expect if you are attending SHRM in person or indeed online, because there is a virtual element, because we are living in a post-pandemic world and everybody does that now. So before we get into that, though, let's just give you a bit of an overview. Chris, I'll go first if I may. I'm pretty excited about attending my first SHRM Conference and Expo in a number of years. The last one I went to, I think, was all the way back in 2017, 2018. It was in DC at the time. So for those folk who are listening to this show and they're not super familiar with the SHRM Conference and Expo, if there are any HR and related professionals out there who are not familiar, it is the world's largest convening of HR professionals. In fact, the conference and expo, it's expecting around 20,000 attendees in person, around that sort of number. And there are some pretty illustrious speakers. And in addition to the big name speakers, and we'll tell you more about those later on in the show, there are also going to be a bunch of what SHRM calls, where you can go off and learn about recruitment or performance management or employment law or DEI or a host of other areas. But yeah, it's going to be a pretty exciting time, and Chris and I will be there under the HR Gazette banner largely, and we're going to be chatting to folk and setting up interviews for this show, which should hopefully feed lots of amazing conversations for you guys through the People and Performance Pod for the next 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe more months. Chris, I'll shut up and let you tell our listeners a bit about why you're so excited about attending SHRM this year.
Bill, I'm excited that you're shutting up. So I am excited. I'm excited about going to SHRM this year because, you know what, I went last year and we're coming out of COVID and there was a crowd, but it wasn't the same thing. It wasn't the same type of crowd that we had pre-COVID times. This is sounding like we're getting more into the swing of where we had been before. And the wonderful part about bringing all of these human resource managers together is just the intermixing and the sharing of stories and the understanding of new things and concepts that they've tried over the past period of time, whether it's the past year or a couple of years when they're presenting to us. It gives us the opportunity to see new and new ideas and really talk to people about, hey, can that work for this organization? Or can that work for my organization? And, as we go through here, it's going to be good. And as Bill talked about the speakers, we got some big names. And I know last year, just hearing Michael Phelps talk, I learned a lot of things that were inside of his that weren't necessarily focused on maybe his bottom line message that he was trying to get across, but it talked about goal management and, and just determination and so forth and so on. So there's just a lot to glean from our speakers, both the big name speakers as well as, and where I'm really kind of go for the sweet spot is those, there's about 200 plus sessions of individuals sharing stories. And it's those stories that we're going to hopefully bring some of those back here to us at our podcast here and share them with you, because as we go through and we like went through last year, and there were just some good messages that came through, and you're like, okay, that resonates with our listeners, or that should resonate with our listeners. And so I'm excited for those times that are there. And basically just to see that, and then also to their expo this year is large, a lot larger than it was last year. And I just want to go off and see some of the new tools that are out there, meet some of the new vendors, reestablish myself with some of the existing vendors that I've known in the past, just to get a better handle on where their product have changed to and morphed to better provide an employee experience as they're in the organization, or to better enable the HR team to move forward. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, Bill.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Chris was very careful there not to give too much away about what some of those big name speakers or who those big name speakers will be, because I'm going to get into that with Chris shortly. But I did just want to mention a couple of folk who will be on the main stage at this point. And those two gentlemen are Johnny C. Taylor, who I'm sure most of the listeners will know is the president and CEO at SHRM, the Society for Human Resource Management, and some chap called George W. Bush. I believe he formerly had some job high up in the US government. I'm not quite sure. I'm a foreigner. What would I know? But I mention that now just because I'd love to point our People in Performance podcast listeners to a recent HR Chat podcast episode that I did with Johnny C. Taylor and a fantastic lady called Diana Spencer. And just further to that, I'd also urge our listeners to check out an episode that Chris and I did with a chap called Jim Link, who is the CHRO at SHRM. So lots of SHRM focused content over these summer months, listeners. So I hope you enjoy that.
Bill, you spilled the beans on a couple of our big name speakers already, and their sessions that are coming up there. But talk to us a little bit more about who rings a bell for you as a big name speaker as you look at the agenda that we're coming into. Give us a little insight into the speaker and what they may be touching on while they're giving us a presentation.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Well, this year there are a lot of big name speakers. So obviously we're going to be seeing and hearing a lot from Johnny C. Taylor, who is the CEO and president at SHRM. He's going to be involved in lots of different sessions. One session that he will be involved with is with a certain chap called George W. Bush. Former President George W. Bush, who will join Johnny to discuss his time in the Oval Office and the challenges facing the US. Another amazing speaker, someone who I've got so much respect for, is Arianna Huffington, founder and CEO of Thrive and the founder of the Huffington Post. She's also the author of around 15 books, I think. Her session at SHRM is called Shifting Mental Health Awareness into Action in the Workplace. And during that session, Arianna will focus on how we can shift awareness into action when it comes to mental health in the workplace. She's also going to share her expert take on the state of employee mental health and how we can support our workforce through the current challenges and beyond. You'll learn some micro steps if you attend this session, which are science-backed steps that are too small to fail, leading to lasting change, and how recharging requires unplugging is another key area, which you will learn all about by attending that session. Someone else that I would like to do a bit of a shout out for, another huge name, is Bruce D. Broussard, who's the president and CEO over at Humana. Under his leadership, the company has created an integrated care delivery model centered on improving health outcomes, driving lower costs, enhancing quality, and providing a simple and personalized member experience. His session is called Finding the Right Balance: How Employee Benefits Attract and Retain the Best Talent. And in that session, he will discuss navigating the intersection of work, workers, and the workplace as COVID-19 continues. With unique perspectives as leaders in the health insurance industry, this candid C-level conversation will shed light on ways that HR can continue to adapt and provide the best guidance possible. And the audience will experience firsthand the crucial partnership between a CEO and the CAO, gleaning insights that attendees can then apply to their own strategies and approaches for healthcare issues and much more.
All right, Bill, we're excited about those big names. And you and I will either sit together or we'll split up and capture them based upon our availability that's there. So that's exciting. So now let's talk about something a little bit different. There are dedicated sessions and tracks that are occurring throughout the conference. Can you talk about what people can learn through these dedicated sessions?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So in terms of dedicated sessions, well, there's lots of customized learning happening at SHRM, as always, but to me it seems like bigger and better than ever. So attendees can select a content track to find sessions on topics that matter the most to them. Their learning journey can be tailored even further with additional pre-conference offerings. Virtual only on-demand sessions can be watched anytime, day or night, by the way. And virtual attendees can access the platform and revisit sessions 60 days after the conclusion of the conference, which is quite nice. So some of those content tracks include diversity, equity, and inclusion. So by joining some of those, attendees will discover best practices for building an engaging, inclusive, and diverse workforce where hopefully everyone can thrive. Another track is HR technology and data analytics. So if you join that, you'll learn how to apply technology trends and analysis such as data integrity and artificial intelligence in your HR work. Leadership and personal growth is another track that I wanted to mention. And by joining those sessions, attendees will be able to level up their leadership development and become equipped for personal and employee growth. People and talent management is a very key track at this year's SHRM conference, and attendees of that one will glean new strategies for engaging and retaining talent by delving into all aspects of the employee life cycle. Of course, there will be recruitment and talent acquisition content, and there's a dedicated track for that too, and attendees of those sessions will expand their toolbox with new strategies and tactics for acquiring the right talent for their organizations. A couple more I'd like to mention. Strategic HR, and in that track, folks can deepen their understanding of one's organization's business goals and the role that HR plays within the strategic planning. So having more of a chance to be at the top table, so to speak, for HR folk. And just finally, workplace culture, empathy, and work-life integration. Never has this been more important, of course, than over the last couple of years, and the lessons that we've taken from the last couple of years. And as part of that part of that track, attendees will gain actionable insights and resources to help them support and improve the culture in their workplace.
All right, Bill. The sessions are going to be great. Our key speakers are going to be great. But you know what? There's this huge expo floor out there. So talk with me about some of the people that you want to chat with on the floor as you're walking around, or some of the services that you're looking forward to meeting as you walk the expo floor.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. Well, there are a lot of companies that I'm looking forward to meeting on the expo floor this year. Some I've had on the show in the past. For example, I'll be chatting with Dan Hunter again from WorkZynga. He's the CEO over WorkZynga, which is a really cool recruitment technology which helps companies to ensure a culture fit with candidates. But this year's expo will showcase companies displaying and selling thousands of the newest products and services. This is where all facets of the HR profession will be on display. And I'm just going to run through a bunch of different companies now that I think folks should check out. I'll certainly be stopping by their booths and saying hello myself. So broadly breaking vendors down by categories. Let's start by talking about those involved with employee relations, performance management and appraisals. So Bamboo HR, I'm sure folks will be familiar with Bamboo HR. They've been around for quite some time now. Bamboo HR is the only HR software designed to help small and medium-sized businesses create amazing workplaces, they claim. And their software helps folks to hire, onboard, manage time and compensation, and a whole bunch more things. Cornerstone On Demand, gosh, those guys have been around for a while now, huge company. Cornerstone powers the future-ready workforce with adaptive HR solutions designed to unite technology, data, and content to inspire a work environment of growth, agility, and so on. DecisionWise is another company that I'll be checking out on the expo floor. They are an employee experience firm specializing in leadership and organization development using assessments, feedback, coaching, and training. Engagedly. These guys have been on my radar for quite some time. I'm keen to have a chat with them. So built on best practices and decades of research, they say, Engagedly's people plus strategy platform is built to drive performance outcomes, starting with the people. HR Direct is another company that I'll be hoping to chat with. HR Direct provides a full range of industry-leading HR products and services to help you handle labor law, posting compliance, and HR tasks with confidence and ease. UMAP, they look pretty cool. UMAP is a people-focused platform designed to develop talent, engage teams, and create belonging for happier employees and more productive teams. And just finally in that category, WorkDove, which is a modern and integrated performance and talent management platform which brings peace to the workplace through better employee and manager check-ins, performance reviews, and more. In terms of leadership skills and development, well, there are a bunch here too, so I'll just do a shout out to a few of those. Awardco, employee rewards and recognition, have been around for a long time, of course, but they've changed since the 1970s. Certainly, that's Awardco's point. They offer the latest rewards and recognition around there, unlike what they claim are lots of outdated options that they're provided by other vendors. BLR, Business and Learning Resources, is a division of Simplified Compliance, and it's an industry-leading knowledge provider in the human capital management space, and I'll be saying hello to them. CA Short Company, they help organizations identify barriers to modify, enhance, and benchmark, and so on. Cloverleaf is an automated coaching technology for everyone, and they've been doing some really cool things. There's some really great case studies there, so I'm going to say hello. Coach Hub, that's a leading global talent development platform that enables organizations to create personalized, measurable, and scalable coaching programs. Now, obviously, I can't go through all of the different categories of exhibitors, Chris, but just one other I wanted to touch upon today is business acumen and HR strategy. Seems pertinent given a lot of the conversations that we have on this show. So a few folks just to do a bit of a shout out for there are Vizia. Vizia is the recognized global leader in people analytics and workforce planning. I think they're also based in beautiful Vancouver in fantastic Canada. Not that I'm biased, of course. Human Intelligence is a pioneer in culture intelligence and a leader in the recruitment tech space. You should check those guys out. PTO Genius, they build really clever technology that helps organizations transform their employee experience. And Splash BI, which helps organizations make the very best business decisions by providing instant access to data from disparate systems in the forms of reports and visualizations and a bunch more. So, Chris, with that said, those are just a few of the vendors that certainly I would recommend checking out, and I'll be popping by their booths while in beautiful New Orleans.
Bill, this just makes me want to go to the conference more. I can't help but be more excited to see you and meet you in person, but also to attend the SHRM Conference here on June 12th through the 15th in our beautiful New Orleans, and the opportunity for us to listen to these speakers, to take the tracks, and as well as to meet our vendors on the floor that are out there. Excited to do that. So for our listeners, if any of you are going to be in the area, we'd love to connect with you. We'd love to hear some stuff. Some of you may want to be guests on our podcast as well too, and maybe you got a great story that we can share with our listening audience. So just drop us a note through LinkedIn, and we will look to try to connect with you while we're down in the beautiful New Orleans and enjoying a little bit of that Southern hospitality. So thanks for your time today.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the People and Performance Podcast. Follow us on social media, and remember to subscribe.